Hello, Norma.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you
How
for
are you
having
doing?
me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me too. Um, I am so excited because we're going to talk about time management. And would you like to say a few words about where your background, where you're coming from, and why you're it's like I'm trying to think of the word obsessed, but obsessed is not a great word. Why you're so focused on how we manage our time. Why is that so important to you?
Well, my main background was 38 years in healthcare, with 20 of them being in care home management. So at the time, the pressures you get things, you've got a lot of humans there, all doing their own thing, staff, residents, families, external bodies coming in, audits going on. So to be able to get your regular work done, your audits and action plans, any progress, training and stuff like this, normal routine jobs, you really needed a plan, because otherwise it would run away with yourself. And by Friday night, you'd need to stay to Sunday night just to get it out the way. So yeah, and keeping a balance between how much you give as a person, because otherwise you end up really drained, and then you're not fit for anybody then, really.
And I
So
hear that the care homes are losing managers hand over fist because it's just too stressful.
it's always been a really stressful job, very, very rewarding job, if you've got the support behind you. And I've been in small and large companies with and without support in all of them. So I've been in a right mix over my time.
Yeah.
But for care home managers to even just have somebody, a go-to person to say, I just need some support with this, and how do I feel about that? It's, to me, it's essential. And it's like a brain drain, really, because these valuable people are leaving, which then has a massive knock-on effect to your home, but because there's no stability, the local authorities are looking, going, another manager going. When you've got continuity in manager, the staff know where they're up to, their home's more stable, and God bless them, the residents sit there knowing that, this is the manager, that's who it is. It's not, who is it this week, how are we working now, how's it going to be this time? So it
Yeah.
gives them security and stability, and that's the most important thing, I think, because that's what we're all in it for at the end of the day.
Yeah. And would you say that one of the main challenges for care home managers, the reason why they leave, is because they just end up doing way more work than what they were expecting to do? It's just too much. It's just too stressful.
Yeah, it's worse since the pandemic, because there's been more and more things put on managers, more people regulating the homes. So it is absolutely stressful, and they literally come down to being, I mean, they say you crush carbon, you get a diamond. Well, they are diamonds, but we need to keep them. We don't want the diamonds going. So they need to be really nurtured and cared for. It is so stressful.
And how would you say that the issue of time, how does that specifically contribute to this very rapidly high turnover of managers?
For managers themselves to manage their time is absolutely essential, because if they don't, then they will be pulled into like a vortex of time and just be stretched on. Because if we've got something to do in a fortnight, we'll do it in 12 days time. We're going to do it by this afternoon, we'll do it by this afternoon. So time has that convoluted sort of like feel to it anyway. But for managers, if they put a structure in place and manage the time, sort of plan 40% of it, 60 will plan itself. That gives them then the flexibility to at least sometimes be able to sit down with the staff, or sit down with the people living there and going, how are you doing? And that's when they've gone in and they're heart-led people and they want to care. Sometimes you need to go back, lock the office door, go and sit with your people that are living in your home and see how they are, and remind yourself why you do it. If you're crushed under time and you're always fighting against it, there's no structure, there's no stability there, you lose that reason and purpose. The
Yeah.
purpose of time will steal your purpose if you've not got structure in place, in my opinion.
So you just skimmed over a really, really important figure there.
Sorry.
You said something about 40,
Right.
60. Could you say a bit more about that? What did you mean by that?
If you plan 40% of your time, so your structure when you go in, walking around, checking things, have your morning meeting with your staff, check up after lunchtime, wrap up your day by filling in any regular routine audits that you might need to be sending in, any reports for your leadership team or whatever. The rest of the time, then the other 60% will be filled by staff asking for annual leave, they're looking out for extra training. You might get a CQC inspection, environmental health inspection. There's so many people can walk through the door of a care home. Or sometimes it might just be that if there's been something in the home and the staff need a bit more nurturing, they need a bit more care themselves, so you can go and see them. And that 60%, if you keep that flexible, it will always be filled up. Trust me, it will always be filled up.
Yes.
But it just takes that actual weight off, literally off your shoulders, where you know that, right, today I'm going to achieve that and that. I've got my regular systems in place. These are the meetings I have on a regular basis, so everybody knows where I am. I'm going to have an office hour Monday and Friday, so they know what I'm doing. And the staff then will respond to that structure, and it's you putting your boundaries in place of saying, this is for my 40% of the time, the rest is for you. Now you go and do what you do, let me do mine, and then I'll be with you. And then the staff are like, oh, she's great. How great is that we've got somebody there for us? Because when you're rushing against time, and you've not got these things in place, staff knock on the door and say, can I swap a shift? You're like, give us a minute. And then you might forget that you've said that they could or they couldn't or whatever. And then later on, you're having to fix another problem because there was nothing in place in the first place.
So what you're saying is a bit like to have because most people who are in, quite high functioning, important roles, managerial type roles, will have a diary. I mean, I think everybody operates on a diary nowadays. So to only book 40% of that diary in, to make sure that everything that you have to do on a routine basis is planned into that 40%. And the rest of your time, the 60%, is you manage that in a very different way. So how would you recommend that people actually manage that rest of that 60%? What's the experiential difference, if you like, between that 40% and the 60%? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. For the 60%, it's that having that reassurance in yourself and the structure around yourself that if something happens, you can go and respond to it. Now, I don't mean just bad. I mean, it could be somebody's, wedding anniversary, has been married 70 years and both people are living in your care home. You want to go and spend that afternoon celebrating, seeing the residents and families, and be seen to be walking about, to be seen out there doing, and have a great time. And, as a manager, you want to enjoy something like that. So if that's something then that makes it the nice to do. So you need to do the 40%, your nice to do the 60%. And,
so, yeah, no, I totally get that. So most people are quite familiar with how to plan their time, that 40% bit. That's how we've all been programmed. We all went to school. We all had a school timetable. We know how to follow those sort of time management things. I'm in this lesson for half an hour, and then I'm in that lesson for an hour, and then we've got a break. Do you know what I mean? It's like all been programmed how to operate under that system, but we've not been taught how to operate under that 60% when we're actually at work. It's a bit different when we're at home. We're just going to go and do our shopping or whatever. But how do you function? Where do you have to put yourself? Do you see what I mean?
I think you have to be going more into a creative mindset of and flow. You need to be in flow, like an energy flow of knowing that you're safe because of your structure. You're safe because of your 40%. And some days if there's nothing going on and you've got some time, which I'd love to meet a manager with time, then you can go and do something just off the cuff. But to literally put yourself in a state of flow of this is acceptable, it's okay, it's part of my job to do this, to be like this, and to be this flexible, to actually have that creative space where you know, I mean, sometimes you could just go, oh, tell you what, right, we've got some time here, let's go and put a film on, and I'll sit and watch a film. And the residents love it, you know, absolutely love it. Gives the staff a bit of a break as well, because you're actually then, you can say, you know, I'm doing this, you go and get yourselves another cup of tea, have another extra 5 minutes while, you know, I'm watching the lounge with, just sitting with the residents, having a nice time. And they'll be like, oh, and it gives that extra positivity, a sense of teamwork, involvement, being appreciated, because they see that, yeah, we leave her alone to do the 40%, the 60% can be fun. And sometimes, like I say, it's not fun. Sometimes it's really like, oh my God, something's gone wrong. But when it is, you still know I'm okay. I'm safe where I am. And this can go as it needs to go. And literally, like you say, we're not used to it because we're brought up, do this by then, that by then. Well, you've just done all your meetings when you need to. Your reports are going in when they should. Your action plans are done on time. Everything, you know, your rotas are in 2 months in advance or whatever the company requires. And now this is my bit of time for whatever. Plus, if you do get an inspection, especially CQC, they love it when you can give them some time, because you're not rushing from one to another. Even if you get somebody viewing the home, oh, I'll walk you around. You know, we're not pulling the staff off the floor to walk the people around and try and sell them a room. We're doing it ourselves and getting to know that family straight away. And the staff are seeing to the people they're employed to see to. So it does give you that, but it's been in that creative space, that freedom of, yeah, I've done what I need to do. That's a need to do. This is a nice to do, and I can do this safely.
I love that, because, you know, that's what my work's all about, you know, is freedom and creativity, and working outside of time. And you know, it's different for me because, you know, because I'm completely self-employed, and I have more choice as to when I do things. But like you, I have a diary, and I limit the amount I book into my diary, because I need the rest of the space in the diary, as you say, to be open, whatever might land that day. Or and sometimes it can be, whoa, I've got to prepare this. Okay, I've got the rest of that day, I can get on with that now. Or I've been, as you say, I've been invited to something. Oh, awesome. I just need that hour in the morning, and then I'm free the rest of the day to be with you. And as you say, it can all happen it doesn't matter if it gets presented at the last minute, because you've left that space. Or even, oh wow, I have nothing planned for the rest of the day, I am going to go and read my book, or I'm going to go and lie in the park, and I'm just going to rest and still. Because I think when I'm listening to you, what I'm hearing is that in that 60%, everybody's needs are getting met. So the the care home, the people who live there, the residents are getting more interactive time with the manager. The staff are getting more, feel like they're being more cared for. But also, as a manager, you've got some breathing space where you can actually just drop down into your own self. You can just be yourself. You can and have that bit of, not quite nurturing time, but obviously you're still at work, but you can be, you not feel like you're just rushing around and just answering to everybody's beck and call. That you can actually be more selective in what would be the best use of your energy in that time, in that period.
Yeah, definitely. I do think you're seeing these things that if we don't have a conscious thought about it and we don't look at it properly, it does get swept away from us, and we do end up being human doings, not human beings. And we end up like coming home from work thinking, I didn't even see anyone today. I don't know my new resident. I don't know. And that then deflates that person and everything. To keep a manager buoyant, happy, you know, valued, it's so easy to, you know, let them enjoy it as well. Remember why they went there, because a lot of them have come from nursing, where they've been very interactive with people. And when you're suddenly in an office again, I mean, going from corporate to self-employed myself, sometimes when I work by myself, I think, you know, I'm spending so much time on my own. I need to go out of here and see other people, because you know, you do need that interaction. So I do think that is to keep that side of them alive as well. And then the other stuff, the stuff that needs to be done, the 40%, is a joy to do, because they know once it's done, I'm
Yeah.
back out there. So, yeah.
And could you see how that could sort of, translate into, other corporate environments, where people are very much working in offices and things? Could you see how that could translate into that sort of environment?
Yeah, I mean, with care homes, obviously, you know, you're meeting a human need most of the time, because it's full of them. But then in offices where, because I did actually work for the government, and I worked in data processing, and it was literally on a computer all day and staring at a screen with, so there was 30 people sat around me, and you never got a conversation. So just to be able to switch off and have a bit 5 minutes, you'd be like, oh God, and actually speak to somebody, because we all need connection as humans. But to be in a situation like that with people, and somebody saying, oh, I used to work there. Well, I never saw you. I was 2 rows back from you. We need that interaction, don't we, as people, connection. So I do think it's important in all companies, especially corporate companies, where they're so some are quite top heavy, and they push down on the rest, and they want all these people to do everything by, closer play was the words I used to get said a lot. And I think, when is closer play?
So do you think that 40-60 rule could work in more sort of corporate offices where people are very much working on screens and things? Do you think it could work there too?
I wouldn't think they could have like 60% of the time then, because theirs is more predominantly answering emails and stuff online, obviously fully online. But I would say they would need a percentage of the time, even if 70-30, get 70% work done, because theirs is literally through the machine, and it's not a human, they're not dealing with humans all the time. So yeah, it would have to, I suppose it's job specific really, isn't it, of to what job it is.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking, like the way I sort of manage my time is I always have a running list of things that are not time specific.
Yeah.
So I have, like my 40% is time specific. It has to be done on that day. It's a meeting with someone, or deadline or something. But the rest is like is not time specific. So that when I've done my 40%, then I can go, okay, so what on my list do I feel I could do most creatively? Because I think that is a very key word, that I could do most creatively and in flow now.
Yeah.
Where is my energy now that I could do that particular job most creatively and most in flow? And for me personally, I then thought, do you know what? Now is the time to do that job, which in a way I've been putting off, but now is the time to do that job. And often I can get it done so quickly, because it's like my energy is the right match in that moment.
Definitely.
To do that job.
Yeah, totally identify with that, Deborah. Yeah, definitely, because it's one of them things, isn't it? You just, like you look at something, oh, I don't want to do that today. And there's sometimes, I mean, some of my things, and I'm lucky with this, is if I wake up really early, I can do 2 or 3 hours before anybody else in the house is up. And them sort of jobs are just done because I was free and calm and fresh for the day. And I think, oh, that's lovely. And then you just think, it's fun, isn't it? Because that's what you've enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And then that spurs you on to, you think, oh, well, there's another one, because you say eat the frog in the morning, get the worst one out of the way. But when you can just do what you want when you want, and like we say, we have got responsibilities. We do have to actually have things done on time. But being in flow is one of the biggest things to me.
Because, I can think of, some of my clients who, it's like they never live without their watch. I always say to people, take your watches off, put your clocks away. If you have to have an appointment at 10 o'clock, just set the alarm 5-10 minutes beforehand. You think, oh, I've got that appointment in 5-10 minutes. But when we let go of our clocks and watches, we start to actually synchronize much better. And often I'll go, oh, I've got that appointment now. And I look, and it's 1 minute to when the alarms go. you know, and I think, oh, great, I can switch the alarm off. I don't have to hear the alarm, you know. But then when I'm in a period when there isn't anything that is time scheduled, I do not look at the time. I find then that time becomes much more creative. You know, it's like I can sit down with a job that I thought, when I looked at it, it looked like it was going to be the sort of thing that would take hours in linear time. But when I actually sit down to do it, and I'm immersed in it, and I'm creative and I'm in flow, and then it's done, and then I go, oh, actually, it's an awful lot earlier than I thought it was going to be, because somehow I've managed to move into, you know, I believe that, you know, because time is linear and it's man-made, and we just see it in this very regular progression, but really time, because it is man-made, it doesn't really exist like that. The present moment is like a fractal. It keeps opening and expanding and opening and expanding. And we can, if we live in that present moment of creativity and flow, then time as we know it becomes completely irrelevant. It becomes much more the creativity of what it is that we are actually engaged in. I love that, what you said about, you know, we're not human doings, we're human beings. It's about being in that moment and occupying, you know, occupying ourselves, creating the best possible thing that energy-wise that matches in that moment. And we have to learn to be present. We have to learn to actually drop into the present and go, what's the best thing that I could create now? What's the best use of my energy? What's the best energy match for me right now? That that would not only be useful for me, but actually would contribute to the greater whole as well.
Yes, that's a lovely place to be, isn't it? When we get into that, you know, out your head into your heart type of space. It's it is a lovely, I mean, I use breathing exercises for that, just so that, you know, when I do find my head's going, oh, one more thought, I don't need one more thought, you can just stop.
Yeah.
This, you can speed up by stopping. There's a lot to be said for that. And then breathe out your head into your heart and just take that minute and then start again, because there's things that they're not important. They're just not important. Some things are, some things are not. And it's just basically working yourself out as well, isn't it? Your own flow, your own rhythm, how you work best as a person, getting your things in place and enjoy as much of it as you can.
I think that is a perfect place to stop.
Thank you very much.
I think that was fabulous. So how could people get in touch with you, Norma?
Well, through Norma Sherwin at outlook.com or via LinkedIn. They're my two main places.
Norma Sherwin, SIHERWIN.
Yeah.
.com, outlook.com.
Yeah, that's the email, and then or through via LinkedIn Messenger.
Okay,
LinkedIn.
lovely. Yeah. So if there's anybody out there who is involved in corporate world or managerial world, or particularly the care home world, Norma.
Oh, Deborah, thank you so much.
Oh, it was absolutely a pleasure. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye, love. Bye.
Bye. Bye.